Welcome to the I Am Radio TV network. Today we are pleased to present a new premiere show, Let's Get Real, with your host, Jeffrey Miller. Now get ready to go. Interactive. Hello. How are you? I am Jeffrey Miller. I am the host of the Let's Get Real show. This is a beautiful day. I'll tell you what, other than that, my system made a little glitch. So if you're watching this at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, you would have thought you were watching it at 3 p.m. Eastern Time and 2 p.m. Central, because somehow my scheduler didn't do the right job. And that's probably me. Okay, so there you go, right up front. So if you're watching, I hope you're here with us watching, because I would hate to think that you scheduled your day to see this amazing show with our amazing guests coming up and you get to miss it. But the good thing is it will be replay, but that's not the same as being here live. Now, first and foremost, please share your comments. In fact, I think we see right there. Okay, we've got somebody with us right now. That's great, but we're going to introduce them in a minute. I want to talk to you a little bit about this show. This is the I Am Radio TV network. It's a network that I started about 5 years ago doing radio, and we had 12 other shows on this banner. And that was fun, and that was great. And then after a little break, I said, you know what? TV is the way to go. Live stream is the way to go, what they call podcasts, right? And I said, but so what's a podcast? Well, a podcast is exactly what this is. And then this network is very pleased to announce that within a very short period of time, we're going to be going to a new platform where it's going to be our own channel, and it's going to actually be able to broadcast to Roku TV, Apple TV, etc. And we are excited about that. We are building that right now. We are putting everything together for that. So our guests will be coming back to you, and you'll get to see their show multiple times. It'll be looped 3 times a day on reruns in a 24-hour period. So anybody who's a guest on the show, anybody who chooses to have a show on our network will have that opportunity. And we are excited about that, because think of having a show or being a guest on the show where you are seen by thousands of people. Wow, what does that do for a bottom line? That really gets the message out there. And that's what we are all about. We're a collaborative network wanting to help you get your message to the world, which is why we interview amazing people, such as a very lovely lady we have with us today, Olga Cullinan. And I want to give you a little bit of a backstory before Olenka comes and joins us. She's waiting in the green room very patiently, I might say. I first met Olenka, thank you to a very, very dear friend of mine. And I was asked to join a mastermind after watching a weekend show that they had put on, which should have been live, with Mr. Kyle Wilson and Mr. Ron White. And I said, this is really great. I had known Kyle for a long time. So as a result, Olenka and I have gotten to become friends and talk about what she does and what I do. And I said, look, we'd love to have you on the show. So without much further ado, welcome to the show, Olga Cullinan. How are you?
I am great, Jeff. So excited. Thank you for having me. This is definitely so much fun.
It is fun. It is fun. And it's a pleasure, Olenka. It's a real pleasure. And, you know, the more we can collaborate and get messages out to folks today in the world with everything that's going on. Wow, when you think about it, all the stuff that we've just gone through for the last how many weeks, people being told they couldn't leave their home, the stuff, you know, up here, it's the head stuff. This,
Yes.
You know, what do you mean I can't go out? And I'm sure you felt it with your people as well, with folks that you support.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, welcome to our crazy world, right? We are on this ride together, and it's definitely been an interesting experience, no doubt about it. And yeah, I mean, I live in Phoenix, and I'm sure if you haven't heard, we've had quite a few riots here, some of them not so peaceful. So it's definitely been quite the experience with the last few months, no doubt about it.
Wow, it's been absolutely crazy, and the more people, you know, this is the time where I say thank you, God, for what we're on right now.
Yes.
Truly, because you know, we think of a time back, and you know, I'm old enough where I can say that. We think of a time back we did not have this. We did not have cell phones. We ran to a phone booth and dropped a dime in, and by the way, it was a dime. I can remember actually was a nickel. Oops, now I'm really letting out of the bag. But here's the thing. When we think about that compared to what we have now to say socially connected, it's absolutely amazing. And you really shine in that. And we're going to get to that shortly, but I'd love for you to tell folks your backstory. Oh, wait, we've got a couple of people, and I'm going to let them, we got to get these right in here right now. Sally, thank you so very much. And because Sally's a dear friend of ours, she's a musician, a songwriter, and she sounds like some of the most amazing singers in the world. So Sally, thanks so very much. And Michelle Richardson is listening to us from, drum roll, Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. Michelle is a partner of mine in the IM Network. From years ago when we did radio, we did a lot of shows together, and we did a lot of Zoom shows when Zoom was first introduced. So good morning to you down under, Michelle. Thanks for being with us. We appreciate that. So that said, Olenka, talk to us a little bit about what your backstory. Everybody loves to know who is the person behind the name. I Start First.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. And definitely, you can tell from my accent, I'm not from Texas. I was born
no.
I was born and raised in Russia and moved to the US right before I turned 21. I definitely had a very interesting upbringing because I had a full-on dichotomy. I had a father who was a government official, so everything was very conservative and super by the book. And then I had a mother who built and ran a company for 37 years. So she was diehard entrepreneur, always out on the limb. So I got to see both sides really. And definitely my mom definitely instilled in a lot of entrepreneurial qualities in me. And in the process, I got to do some really cool things, which I took for granted. I'm being honest about it for a long time because I was, essentially helping my mom build her company. I traveled with her all over Europe, starting when I was 14. I would walk into rooms and negotiate $1 million contracts. So that erased a lot of fears of being in the rooms full of men and negotiating. But I also, entrepreneurship was so ingrained and almost pushed on me that very much, I was really tired of it and kind of didn't want to take over my mom's business. So my brother and I made a pact, and my brother decided to go into the army, and I went and became a teacher. So I taught for 7 years, everything from really littles. I taught second grade all the way to university, and very quickly realized that while I was a great teacher, I wasn't really excited by the system. So now my mom gets to tell me, I told you so, because she actually, in the process, I actually went and started my first company, which was called Rising Tycoons, where I taught teens how to take ideas, make them marketable, and turn them into businesses. And without that experience of teaching and seeing the system and seeing that need, it probably would never happened. But I also realized how much I learned from my mother and just being around entrepreneurs my whole life, what I took for granted when I was younger. So to give you an idea, on my first business, we were kind of startup on steroids. We put over 10,000 kids, 1,500 educators. So I went from moving to this country, literally borrowing $450 from my uncle. And if you know my uncle, I paid him back since with percentages. So I borrowed that money, moved here, put myself through school, got to teach, then build out my first business. In the process, realized there were not enough females in the programs. And as I continued, I was working with universities and going to speak at women's conferences, and pretty much saw the same issue all across the board, that there were not enough females playing in their full power, stepping up to their their full potential. And that's how I Start First really got born, because I just wanted more women to experience what it's like to live in their purpose.
Wow, that's fantastic. Now, what year did you come to the U.S.?
So I came to the U.S. I came at first 1997. So I did back and forth a couple of years. I would work here summers and still go back to Russia. And then I moved in 1999.
Fantastic. And then you said, this is it. This is the place.
What I really realized is, one, my parents went through a very tumultuous divorce in my high school years. So I saw that. I also saw Russia in the 90s, where, it was very tragic and very Very scary to a degree. And
Very
I
true.
knew that when I moved here, what I really realized is that I could build my life into whatever I wanted it to be if I just worked hard and I showed up and I built my network. It was an opportunity. That's what it was at the beginning. And then later on in life, I realized that, yeah, absolutely. I love everything that this country stands for, in a sense that I could build my life into whatever I wanted it to be.
You know, that is the American dream.
Mhm.
And my family starts many generations before. In fact, I have a relative that actually a woman, young girl, was the first girl to step off the Mayflower ship from England in 1632. So that's part of my lineage here. But the rest of the family came in the early 1900s. So bottom line is this country is immigrants. We are all immigrants that love what we can do here to help other people and build yourself up. And I'm not saying anything against Russia or any other country, but we do have a uniqueness here in the United States. There's no question about it. And we're happy you're with us. We're happy you're with us. So talk to us about, and I'm very, very excited about this. You know, in fact, I've got to say something first. I have to, of course. When you and I spoke last week, we talked about women empowerment, showing women how to get into their own, form their businesses, etc. And I was really excited about everything I heard. And it reminded me of a time in this country. And of course, not everything in this country has all been rosy, as they say. We have had to earn a lot of what we have in this country, even though the forefathers of this country set it out in the United States Constitution that we would be by the people, for the people, limiting government. Well, that's another story today, and we'll talk about that in another show. But the interesting thing is, when you come up into the 60s and 70s in this country, and I remember it very well, we had a lot of stuff to do with civil rights, and we had a lot of stuff to do with women saying, I've had enough. And we called it women's lib. And there was a term that was kind of well, it was kind of colloquial, actually. Bra burners. And I went, what do you mean bra burners? What are you talking about? They said, that's it. We're done. Rip their bras off and make their way in the world, because a lot of women in this country had to go to work. Mm-hmm. They had to go to work. And there's a lot of people that will argue about that and say, no, they didn't. Their husbands were working. That's the way, father knows best back in the 50s and 60s in this country. That's the way it's supposed to be. Women are supposed to be home with the kids. They're not supposed to be out working. God didn't create us that way. And I'm the first guy from another generation, from the Vietnam era generation, that can stand up and say that. He created us equal, both having their roles when it comes to family, etc. And you've gone on now to start I Start First. We would love to hear about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely going right along of our conversation, because on one hand, I saw this huge need that there were not enough women stepping into leadership roles, whether it's in businesses or it's launching their own businesses or C-suites in the corporate. And honestly, I just wanted to inspire more women to find whatever happiness or purpose or passion version they had for themselves, because I am also a huge supporter and proponent of the fact that not every woman wants to build $1 million company. That's just the reality of things. Not every woman wants to have a business. Some women want to be very happy stay-at-home moms and wives and play supporting parts, and that's great. And we should absolutely let them be in their gifts. But my goal was to speak at conferences and inspire more women to do that. And I kept talking to my men friends, which is extra ironic, and saying, I see all these women, I go into all these events, and it's always 90-10 or 80-20 men to women split ratio. True. And how is that we don't have more women? And they said, what are you going to do about it? And I said, I don't know. And
challenge.
They said, yeah. And they said, well, don't you start first? And I said, I start first. And I started using the hashtag initially and speak to women and use the hashtag on social media. And more of them kept picking up on that and saying, what is I Start First all about? What else do you have? And I said, well, nothing really. It was just a hashtag to unite more women to see. I mean, my message really is one, no one is coming to save you. And two is whatever change you want to be, it needs to start with you. You have to start, whether it's in your life, in your community, in your family, wherever you are. True. And so I started with that, and then women kept saying, what else do you have? So we launched the boot camps because a lot of them kept struggling with the fact that they want to build something of their own. They just didn't know how, and they didn't have the support system. And believe it or not, men and women operate business very differently. And because of those rules that you were talking about, that whether we like them or believe in them or not, that's just how we're wired. We're wired very differently. And so we created online boot camps, which allowed women to start and scale their businesses, and we're doing them online so women can join from all over the world. And then more women we started getting a lot of influx of younger women who are, millennials and women who are just graduating college and maybe haven't really figured out what they want in life yet. So we created iStar First Community, again, online subscription model, so they could jump in and kind of get the taste of what it's all about. And then women wanted to see each other in person. So we created iStar First Summit, which is a one-day transformational conference. And of course, now because of being online in the world, we have to,
can I interrupt? No, the summit is strictly an online event, correct?
The summit is actually an in-person event only.
Wow.
In the community online, and then their blend model of online and then in-person meetups. But then because of, everything that's happening in the world, it's now fully online. But then the summit for the last 5 summits has only been in person. It's a one-day conference where women come in the same room and celebrate and learn and unlearn some things,
brainstorm, etc.
And I bring extraordinary speakers who teach them everything. I bring some of my personal network, of course, but now with the changes happening in the world, we haven't really decided. The summit has been postponed because it was supposed to be our 5th anniversary summit this year. So we're still waiting to see where it goes. I mean, women do love camaraderie of being in the same room. There's no doubt about it. That energy is undeniable. But so, honestly, iStar First unfolded what I feel is the best entrepreneurial experience for anyone out there building a company. You have to listen to your audience. And if you listen to what they need and you just fill in those needs, then ultimately everyone wins.
Well, that is a great perspective way to look at it. Listening to what do people need, men's groups and combo. I don't mean groups, but men's events. There are a lot. In the Christian realm, I belong to several, and I find they're that way, where it's just for men so that men can come together. And it isn't about showing testosterone. It's just literally to bring men together, to worship together, to be better men. That's what it boils down to. Whereas women need to come back, like you said, I think that's very, very important. Women need to know in today's day and age, it's okay, first of all, it's A-okay to think of wanting to have your own identity in your own business. And the guys have got to deal with that, okay? Those that are in the cave land, they're still stuck in the cave age, Get over it. Get over it, all right? And it's not about burning the bra anymore. It's not about women's lib. It's about equality that women deserve. And like you said, women are different than men. You're not wired the same way. And it's very important that the supporting husband or partner understands that.
Yeah.
Because women need that. Men say, well, we need it. We need the men's groups and we need this and the rah, rah, rah. And I'm not saying men don't, but women do as well. And then, of course, there's the ones that come together where it's both men and women, which is great too. I love what you're doing, and I've looked at, and I was, at iStar First. I think it's fantastic. I love how you come up with the name. It's really great. When women run a business, it seems to be a little different than how men run a business. Talk to us a little bit about that. Try to get a better understanding so that the men out there would say, well, wait a minute, what is it? What are you talking about? There's no difference.
Oh, yeah, there's a huge difference. Just even with the fact that women are designed to be nurturers, right? We are not designed to be conquering anything, really. And I mean, I'm not saying that we can't. Plenty of women can, and we're great at that. But our initial goal, our initial drive is to be the nurturer and the supporter. Because of it, actually, women do much better on teamwork a lot of times because they're used to that role. They're used to the role of being a team player and bouncing and balancing multiple roles in their lives. They have to be a wife and a mom, and they get pregnant. So they leave workplace for a while because of that. And they take care of their kids, and then they take care of their take care of our partners. So as women are actually designed to be tribal. I'm a big believer that they do much, much better in groups. And I notice it with my program. That's why it's a combination of private coaching with the group experience, because women need that support. And I'm going to say this to men and women both right now. Men are not designed to be your everything, unfortunately, despite all the pop songs and what they're feeding you. Men are really not designed to eat ice cream with you at midnight and cry over things, because men are solution driven, right? They want to solve the problem. They're not designed to listen as women would, where we ask 100 questions and we'll ask her what she looked like and what she said and what tone of the voice she had. Men will ask 3 questions and say, what do you want me to do about that? And it's not because they're bad listeners, again, despite of what, society miscommunicates to us all the time. It's just because they're wired for solutions. And so when women run their business, they a lot of times need a lot more support, especially at the beginning, because men are much faster decision makers. That's why they will jump into companies and they'll have 50% of idea developed and they'll jump in and they have no issues without it. They'll have no issue with that. Women will have 85 to 90% developed idea and they will still go and ask 100 more people and, process it and talk about it before they make that decision. So at the beginning, women need a lot more support to actually jump into business. And then as they start running that, again, it's not uncommon that men are a lot more, I wouldn't say, they're definitely a lot more savvy in the sense of dealing with finances and dealing with losses, and businesses do have losses and you do have to take a lot of risks. And again, women tend to process longer, and they do, they actually calculate the benefits versus risk a lot more, because they have that, again, that nurture in them, where they're like, we don't want to have people dependent on us. What if we hire employees and now these people are dependent on me and now something goes wrong and I have to take away their pay? So guys make decisions much, much faster. They jump onto higher risk. Women are a little bit more careful. They calculate more, but then once they're in it, they actually tend to run a lot longer because they have that, calculated risk, and they have put so much more on the front end that they are building a lot faster. So, there are definitely differences. And like I said, especially being with moms and wives and partners, we need that extra support, because a lot of times, we don't do such a great job separating ourselves from being a businesswoman to coming home and all of a sudden becoming a mom. And I can actually tell you, I had a story with one of my mentors, which was amazing. She said, she gave me this analogy that literally stood with me for years and still very good reminder for me. She said, when you go to the restaurant and you get a takeout, and you put that in a box, she said, when you come home and your family's there, they're not supposed to get the leftovers. They're supposed to get you. So please don't give them the box of what's left of you after a day and serve it as if it's a meal, right? And it was such a good reminder, because women do have to be very careful of separating those roles, right? And still being a mom when they come home, and still being a partner to their husband or their significant other. And so, there are a lot of differences in how men and women operate. But again, it doesn't mean that we can't work together and do a great job with that.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. And that was a lot, by the way. And I want to break it up a little bit. First of all, I can tell you, not so many as there used to be of the older men, and they probably aren't listening to the show anyway. And if you are, guys, you can send me a message. But they would say, no, probably the woman should have a part-time job and stay home. If there's children involved, they need to be the mother, they need to be home. The man is the breadwinner. That's the way the hierarchy rolls, right? Mm-hmm. Then things changed again. And because of incomes, because of economic reasons, this country saw a lot of women turning to the job market. And let's go back just for a second. And those older guys that might want to argue with me on that, when the wars were going on, WW1, WW2, women were mostly handling the manufacturing jobs. Mm-hmm. They didn't get a ton of credit for it, but they were. God bless them, because without them, aircraft wouldn't even have been built. So women have had that very important role. They used to call her Rosie the Riveter. And it was a picture of Rosie with an arm holding the gun, and she was riveting an aircraft together so that a man could fly it over in Europe. I mean, true story. It was an actual story. So men have got to understand that as time has evolved, especially in the United States of America, and now probably not so much in other countries. How is it in Russia right now? Are women having an equal opportunity to be able to work?
Yeah, it's definitely that. I mean, it's very much developed just like, anywhere in Europe.
Oh,
And a
good,
lot of
good,
people
good.
are traveling and a lot of people go to schools outside the country. So yeah, there's definitely an equal opportunity. There's no doubt still a little bit more of that old school mentality for
Oh
sure.
yeah,
But
yes,
I mean, again, in Russia's defense, the culture and the setup is quite a bit different, right? In Russia, women who go on maternity leave, first of all, have 3-year maternity leave. And
wow,
the company that they were working for before is supposed to either give them the same position or a similar position when they choose to come back.
that's fantastic. That's really
So
good.
yeah, so
Yeah,
that setup allows women to be a little bit more like, hey, I can have kids and I can go home and be the mom the first 3 years, not the first 90 days, right? And
right,
then go
right.
back and be in that. So I think a lot of males who are there feel that because of that opportunity, they are designed to be home with the children because
Very
the
true.
country, the culture, the setup is giving you that chance. But yeah, I would
Excellent.
say it's definitely changed quite a bit. Even like watching my brother and watching all my friends, how much it's modernized at this point, and people are
That's great.
still, yeah.
That's great. I know there's been years gone by, and when the U.S. and USS, the old USSR, always had these odds against each other, and I'm just thankful that that's not so much anymore. Even though politically they still want to throw stuff, and we won't go there because this show is Let's Get Real, and we could talk about all that jazz. We're
Oh
not
yeah.
gonna. We're gonna leave it alone. Politics don't come into this show, and
Mhm.
somebody asked me if I would have a discussion on what's going on. I said, if there's a discussion about what's going on, it's going to be a solo, et
Mhm.
moi,
Mhm.
only.
Yeah.
And I'm going to speak of my piece. And I don't know if anybody wants to hear that. But that's that.
Yeah.
So I've wow, that was a lot, and thank you for that.
Yeah.
It's good to know. Good to know that if the U.S. would come across that and say, women need that and children need that as well. I want to throw that in there. That
Mhm.
3-year period of time from birth until 3 years of old is huge for a child with the nurturing of a mother of a mom. No, and the dad's important. There's no question, but that's where the mom gets to spend that quality time. That's really great. What are some of the ways for women to gain more confidence in business? What would you suggest?
Yeah, I mean, confidence is a learned behavior, despite what everybody argues, and hear and see that from women all the time. They're saying, well, it's easy for you, Olenka, because you're confident. Well, first of all, yeah, some people are more confident than others, but nobody's really like that confident that they just don't have a care in
Right.
the world. I mean, it's definitely built in that skill. It's no different than building any other skill. It's no different than building any other muscle. So, unfortunately, we live in this society now that I think because of social media and so much exposure, we're very much driven with that idea of everything has to be major, like you reach big goals and you have big vision and we want everything instantaneous. But confidence is built on micro steps and often
Mm,
on steps we don't want to do, right? There were days when I didn't want to make sales calls. There were days when I didn't want to go on stage and I didn't feel comfortable and I wasn't comfortable interviewing, with camera in your face and the lights and you can't see anything. But it's just doing that. Unfortunately, confidence is probably one skill that's no different than building any other muscle in your body where you have to build it experientially. It's not something where you can go read books and watch YouTube videos. You actually have to step into that and leave that with your body and sit with those uncomfortable feelings and feel like you're going to throw up and still make that call and maybe jumping on that first Facebook Live on that first
hmm
interview
hmm
where you feel like you can't put two sentences together. But what I tell women all the time is I say, once you hit a certain level, you can never regress. Like you can't become less confident. So once you hit
Very
that
true.
first threshold, then it's all up, up, and up. And you just have to do a lot of micro steps. I call it 90 seconds of courage. I have women I work with set up their timers for 90 seconds and do whatever it is they're scared of doing. And I always tell them that I promise you, once you reach that 90 seconds, that fear is just going to subside and you're going to be just fine.
I think that's fantastic. I love that 90 seconds. There's a lot of men who need that too, you know.
Yeah. Anybody really.
Very, very true. Very true. That is excellent. And, you know, they say that the top of the mountain isn't reached in one big jump. It's a step at a time. And there's a plateau. We all reach a plateau and we think we're safe and we think we're secure. And then we get a little breathing room and you can get to the next plateau. Sales. I've been doing sales and marketing in my own business as an entrepreneur for years. And I will admit, it was not a comfortable thing in the beginning to knock on a door. And in the old days, it was all what we call phone work, picking up the old rotary dial phone. Hello, my name is Jeffrey Miller, and I'd like to know if you're interested in buying XYZ and whatever it was back then. And I did a lot of sales work to supplement growing my businesses. I've only actually worked for 3 corporations my entire life. I did very well in all 3, and they were in the city of Boston, Massachusetts. It was fun. It was great. It was actually in the mid-70s, believe it or not. And I wore a shirt and tie. I didn't have this, you know, this luxuriousness right here. Yeah. I like this. Though I don't mind putting a shirt and tie on and going to an event or going out, you know, I think there's a proper time for that. So it's interesting to see that women, you know, are sometimes perceived as having a better or a bigger challenge envelope than men. And I don't know why some men think that, believe it or not. I think that they think, well, women are just kind of, you know, but they say, well, women just seem to be able to jump in and do these things. You know, they all get to talk to one another and they figure something out. Next thing you know, they're running some network marketing business and they're selling this and they're selling that. Guys don't want to do that. I said, wrong. That's not true. There are plenty of guys who want to do that, but women do it differently. Their approach to sales is different. We were talking about iStart first, and you were talking about community versus boot camp. I'd love to touch back there. Go back there if you would.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you just brought that up, that women, you know, jump in and figure it out together, because that's honestly how the two got created and separated, because boot camp was more designed for women who come in and they're ready and they have an idea, or maybe have an idea about an idea. And my goal, you know, as a facilitator and any other mentor who comes in, was how do I take you where you are and bring you to the next level, whether it's your life or your business or both, and help you really to take that business to the next level, because we're working one-on-one and I'm holding you accountable and I'm really pushing you with all I've got. But then you also have that kind of like a private community support, maybe in a smaller group. And that's really what Bootcamp became, because I wanted to give them one-on-one accountability with me, where I really can push them and, you know, get them to take that leap, whether they're, you know, comfortable or not, while holding hands, but also give them that small private community. So it's a little more intense. It's really designed for women who, I get a lot of women who are maybe have been in corporate for a while and now they want to build on their own, or they want to just transition in corporate and they got really stagnant with their life and now they're looking for that next level. So, but community was more of a place of a tribe and celebration and really kind of expanding on that, you know, on what it is all about, plus giving them a chance to really build a huge network, because a lot of them are younger, you know, a lot of them are in that millennial group where, you know, they get blamed all the time how they don't have any social skills. And I thought, well, what a better way to build your social skills than to be thrown in a tribe of, you know, a few thousand women all across the country and the world, and just get opportunity to talk to each other and learn about each other, but also have network of mentors who I bring in on a monthly basis. So it's basically, I call it's Netflix for women. It's a
I like that.
It's a subscription model community where they jump on twice a month on, you know, on the group coaching with me, but also get to learn with other mentors. But most importantly, I mean, it's really about them learning and realizing, like you said, they're not alone. The issues they're going through, the struggles they're going through, there are many, many other women out there who are struggling with that. And that's really where the difference lies.
Wow. So I belong to a lot of Facebook groups, and a lot of them I don't participate in. I'm invited to come to them. I appreciate those people that are inviting me to that group have a good reason to want to invite me to it. I trust that sometimes it's just not to build their numbers to make the group look more important, because it doesn't fly. It doesn't work that way. You've got to want to be part of that group. I belong to 2 cancer support groups, which is very, very important to keep up with what's going on with cancer, in so much that I have it, which is it's just tough to deal with sometimes. I have too many questions. I love that you have that, and you have the support in your community. I also love that you have like a worldwide group that women from all over can get tips from women from all over. Guys, you might want to take notice of that one. It is very important to, as you say, a tribe, that you stick together. Now, I can think of an instance. Let's say a woman says, you know what, I would like to develop. I have this great idea. I don't even know where to start. That she could get in touch with you. And folks, please, by the way, use the chat. If you are with us live, let us know you're here. Contact Olenka at olenkacullinan.com. Reach out to her, because this part is, I think, very, very, very important. If you've got it in your heart and in your mind, and some people say, well, I got it here, but I don't know if I got it here. And I don't know if my husband wants me to have it there either. But the bottom line is, utilize what you have, the gifts that God has given you, and be creative. You are a woman. You're probably a mother. I can relate to what and how you could feel. Okay, I have children. I know what it's like raising kids. I also know what it's like to be the guy that's going out to earn the living. But the bottom line is, women have, and that they need that. They need that collaboration. They need that getting to it. And versus going and just buying a book and opening a book and saying, this is how I start this business. This is how I promote the idea I have. To be able to connect with Olenka, get the information you need, share your idea, let her know what that is, have a call with her, and get involved. I think that's fantastic. So, folks, if you've got questions, please put them in the comments from wherever you're watching from. It could be YouTube, could be the I Am Radio TV network page, it could be my Facebook page, and or the group page went up too. I put a group up, so we've actually got 2 Facebook links going on in there. And if you aren't seeing this live and you're watching this in replay, wow, there's only one thing you're going to miss out. In the last 15 minutes of this show, I've got a special gift that's going to come out for all people that are with us at the very end of the show. And that's going to be kind of cool, because we've all been locked up too long. You know, people have not been able to go anywhere, do anything, and stay home. You don't want to be sick. You don't want to get the next person sick. I understand. I have a compromised immune system. So I'll explain more about that later. But anybody that's still with us live, don't go away. Don't go away, because you get an opportunity to be gifted a very special gift. That said, what would be one big word of advice or piece of knowledge to a woman, as I was just saying, that really wants to get herself up and going? She doesn't quite have the confidence. She wants to develop what you say, her full power. Give us a few minutes on that,
yeah,
please.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, well, first of all, you just have to start. It's like I say.
Well, that's true. Push the button. Let's go.
There is a reason my company's called I Start First. But I mean, honestly, it's whatever that first small step you can do, multiple steps, even if it is something as basic as going to get the book on the subject, or posting in the group of moms you're with, or even sharing it maybe your 2 closest girlfriends and asking them, what do you think about it? Do you think it's a good idea? And whether or not they say it is, it really is irrelevant, because you're just testing the grounds. But also, seek that support and that mentorship. I always talk to women about this all the time. I say, I personally haven't been without a coach for the last 8 years. I don't really remember anymore what it's like. But I feel, and I do have multiple coaches, multiple
Excellent.
groups I'm in for that exact reason. Well, one, I want to be on top of the game if I'm going to coach myself. So I want my clients to have the benefits of both, of best of the best, really. But also, it's having that ability to have mentors who can give you shortcuts, give you, I always tell women it's okay to at first build on borrowed belief. And I call that term borrowed belief, because if I can hold space for you and believe in you a little bit more than you believe in yourself at the beginning, that's how you're going to excel. Because that's honestly,
beautiful.
yeah, that's honestly how I build too, because at the beginning, I just had really great mentors. And if anything, I almost killed my first company because I was, not willing to give up control. And I was so, I'm going to do everything by myself and I got this. And when I got my first mentor, that was the first thing she said to me. She said, you are going to stifle the growth of this company unless you're willing to go get help. And, if you're struggling financially, that's number one thing you need to look into. You need to go to people who you want to be like, whose life, I always say, don't ask for advice from people you're not willing to trade lives with. So
how important is that?
Yes. I mean, especially as women, like, again, we are very loyal and we stay in our circles forever sometimes. But here's the reality. You don't have to eliminate your circle to understand that you outgrew that. Okay. So I'm going to repeat that again. Don't eliminate your circle. Just understand that you outgrew that. And sometimes it happens, and it doesn't mean that you love those girlfriends from high school any less. It just means you have to distance yourself. But one of the fastest pathways to growth is putting yourself into rooms where you feel uncomfortable. And I do it on a daily basis. Like if you go see my social media, which is all under my name, you'll see that I post about this a lot. I say, I feel like Nemo swimming with the sharks more than once a week. And I do it on purpose. I say it in a very good way. It doesn't mean that I don't recognize my worth. It just means that I recognize that there are skills that I still have to learn. There are ways that there are people I still want to meet and learn from. So I love, at this point, uncomfortable became a part of my development. It's just there. It's not that it's something that, you can outlive. It's not something you can outgrow. If you grow correctly, I actually yesterday posted that meme. I said, if your growth is not Instagrammable, you're doing it right. And
that's fantastic.
Yeah. And it is so true, because your growth has to be uncomfortable. Nobody likes change but a baby in a wet diaper. We don't like change, right? We don't like change. We as humans are designed to hang on and be comfortable. And the more you put yourself into the uncomfortable positions, no matter how uncomfortable it gets, the faster you're going to grow. So start getting into rooms and around people that make you uncomfortable.
How true is that? Our as Kyle Wilson will tell us, Jim Rohn had some immortal thoughts when he'd get on stage and talk to people. The one that really, there's so many, and they're so wonderful to think about. And he was a mentor of mine, as was Zig Ziglar. And the one that really sticks out is, hang around with the 5 people that you'd like to be. You will become like them, so to speak. And I'm not saying exactly the way it should be said, but when you hang on with those 5 people, and that's just a number. It's just like a one hand. And when you hang with those people, you become like those people. So if you see success in people that are in the area of success that you say, hey, I'd like to achieve that. I'd like to be able to be there. Then hang around with those people, get involved with those people, like what you offer, Olenka, which is so beautiful, because it allows those that aren't sure to get their feet wet and develop that power, develop that strength that they have inwardly, and develop that idea to see if it's really something that's valuable. And chances are it is. It is. Mm-hmm. Mentors, oh yeah. Coaches, one of the things when I first started coaching, long time ago now, 1999, 2000, I guess it was. Boy, it seems like that was yesterday. Wow, what happened? One of the first things that was said to me is, first of all, become your best client. That's never left me. I had a very renowned coach say, you need to become your first best client. Well, what does that mean? My first best client? I need to learn, and I need to be mentored, and I need to be taught what there is to know about getting my expertise out that I have here so that it makes sense and it can be used and be a great thing to offer people and become a coach or have a program or have an online show, etc. Extremely important. And they say every coach needs a great coach and another coach and another coach. And quite often during my career, I've had up to 3 coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And people say, that's a lot of money. No, it's not. It's an investment. It's an investment in me. And if I don't invest in me, how are my clients going to think?
Mm-hmm.
If they go, well, you just know all this stuff because you got it here. I have it here, but I attained it by listening to the greats, by listening to those, not reinventing the wheel, which is exactly what you offer women in your programs, which is so fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, I love that saying that I love that you have to become your first client. And also it's, to me, it's like the leadership is action, right? Anything we do, it's like with kids, I always say they'll never do what you say. They will only do what you do. Your clients.
Oh, how true is that?
Yeah.
Children learn what they know and know what they learn from those that teach it to them.
Yeah.
We as the adults, we as the parents, women are looking to attain their what they call, I have to have an identity outside of just being a mom.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-mm.
I totally am with you on that. Yeah. And, again, coming from the old school in this country where men would say, no. Yes, they deserve that. Women deserve that, as do men. Men deserve to have their identity. But then when the two come together, that's where the beauty of the whole thing is. That's the mutual melding, so to speak, of collaboration between the sexes. That the man can come home, the woman can come home and say, hey, sweetie, how was your day today? Likewise. And talk about stuff together and understand it and build each other up. Is so valuable, and we lack that today. We have a society. Yeah, I'm going to be pointing at somebody now. We have a society of men that aren't doing that. Yeah, and it's very, very unfortunate. And women have had to take. We used to call it, when we're out in Phoenix area, out in cowboy land, what used to be cowboy land out that way. We used to say, take the bull by the horns. Grab the bull by the horns, because it's the only way you're going to get it to go anywhere. I don't know, I'd want to grab a bull by the horns, but it's an old statement anyway. And the statement really meant was you have to take control and put action into the steps where you want it to go. Yeah. So what steps does a woman want? What steps does she need to take? This is the stuff that I love, Olenka, what you offer. I'm trying to get you. Here it is right here. I'm going to put that back up. Folks, please contact Olenka at OlenkaCullinan.com. Do you offer any kind of a discovery session?
Absolutely. Olenka? Yes, absolutely. Actually, if you go, you can book a 30-minute discovery call. It's absolutely free of charge. It's always complimentary, because I'm a big fan of learning about people, period. And if it's not me, then I can probably introduce you to someone else who might help you better. I never work with clients who are misaligned. To me, it's like relationships. It has to make sense. We have to be on the same page. But also, to me, it's a lot of times, even that discovery session can point you in the right direction, where you can go and do things for a while until you're actually ready to coach with someone. So yeah, I absolutely do. And like, if you reach out to me, it's definitely not a bot. All the responses come from me. So yes, please reach out. I'd be happy to serve you.
That's fantastic. I too, as a coach, offer that. And I found, and it's an interesting story, and I'll reiterate it just for a moment. In the very beginning of coaching, coaches felt that I worked with, when we did what we call cross coaching, we'd cross coach each other to see how we were doing. Way back in my early days, understanding what Tony Robbins did is how he's a coach. That was my first training, strategic intervention, and it was quite interesting. And most of the time went quite well. Sometimes people would say, no, I'm not doing anything unless I get paid for it. Well, that's an interesting way to think about it, because I want to know what mindset you're coming from that you only want to get paid for it. What and who are you thinking about? Only yourself. If you are truly thinking about and care about helping your client, serving your client. Michael Port, in a book years ago, had a towel and he put it over his arm and he said, "This is the servant attitude." And if you're going to be a great coach or a great speaker or a great business person, put that towel over your arm, just like you were a waiter or a waitress going to a table, and say, "How may I serve you today?" And listen for the response. Because you don't know unless you don't know. Unless you ask that question, you're not going to get that answer. So any coach, and again, people say you're pointing fingers. Okay, I am. Because a great coach, a super coach, is going to see how first they can serve you as a client. And that is so valuable. So thank you. And I knew you did that anyway. I had to ask that question. It's very important for people to realize, if you're going to work with a coach, and it doesn't have to be Olenka, or it doesn't have to be me and what I offer, I want to tell you something. And if they do not offer you that complimentary minimum 15 minutes to try to get to know you, to understand who you are, what is it exactly that you would like to have resolved, whether it's an issue, whether it's building a business, whatever it may be, if they're not offering a consultation that isn't costing you in the beginning, then I don't know that they're the right person to work with, to be quite honest with you. Having a complimentary session is all about the coach understanding. Olenka needs to understand you as you need to understand her and what she offers, to see are you two a fit. Because not all coaches are a great fit with people. You might think we are, but we're not. I honestly have said no to some clients. I've had to. And in the very beginning, it wasn't easy to do. You're trying to build a business as a coach, but keeping that servant mindset and moving in that direction, how valuable is that? And then people say, well, how much does it cost? It's an investment in you. The cost is irrelevant. It's the investment that the person chooses to make in themselves. Wouldn't you agree, Olenka?
Oh, 100%. And I mean, that's the investment that no one can take away from you, right? If you invest in you, they can't take away your mindset. They can't take away your character. They can't take away your personality.
Exactly right.
All other things can be taken away. Your things, your stuff, your money, everything else can be taken away. But your skills that you develop and the mindset and everything else, that those things that matter really the most, is something that nobody can take away. So to me, your investment in you is the most important investment you're going to make in your life. So, excellent. And me, like when I worked with my first coach, he always said, which I work with Darren Hardy, and Kyle knows him really well. And
oh my gosh, I love Darren.
Darren
Great
was,
guy.
From early on, he kept saying, whatever you make, you take 10 to 15% of that money and you reinvest it in you. And that's honestly has been my motto from day one. Whether I made a few $100s or a few thousand, as I progressed, it always been that I'm, no matter what, I'm going to invest in me first. Yeah.
Great advice. I've worked with some phenomenals too. And I did a lot of Darren's programs. I didn't work with him as a coach one-on-one, but I always loved what Darren had to offer. Yeah. Zig Ziglar too. I watched, I have the complete library of Zig Ziglar. Yeah. And when I met Tom, when my wife Emily and I met Tom, Emily's from England and I'm from here, and we were traveling back and forth. 2012, I think, something like that, quite a while ago. It was interesting. I happened to get a message, and actually an email, and I said, I have an email from Tom Ziglar, the proud son of Zig Ziglar. What list did I get on that I've got this email? And it said, I happen to be in Wembley tonight doing a training with two of our Ziglar legacy coaches. Would you like to join us at the break at about 6 o'clock, 6:15 this evening? I said, well, how does he know I'm in England? He's talking about Wembley Stadium, the big hotel near Wembley. I think it was a Hilton, or it doesn't matter. But I said, do you think we could go? And it was just a 2.5-hour drive. I said, I got to go. I've got to go. I've been invited. I took action. And we jumped in the car and dropped everything, even dinner. And off we went to meet Tom for the first time. And it was the beginning of an amazing relationship, not only for me professionally, but for me personally. To be able to have that relationship with such a great guy. I mean, it's just amazing. Just amazing. People, you've got to take these opportunities. You've got to jump into this, both feet, get them wet, and say, I'm going to contact Olenka. In this case, I highly recommend you do, or she would not be on this show. I'll tell you what, wonderful stuff, Olenka. Thank you so very, very much. I mean, it's been great. I have a little special thing I'd like to introduce. We've got a few minutes left of showtime here. I am blessed with another company that I started some time ago, and it's a not-for-profit company called Gift What You Need. And Gift What You Need is all about helping people help people. And the newest addition to Gift What You Need is going to be a coaching program. Men and women can receive gift grants for up to 80% of their coaching if they qualify. A lot of people are ready, they're willing, and they're able, but not financially. So we're going to be putting together a donation base through our Patreon account where folks are going to be able to, a lot of people say, I'd love to help people a little bit, but they don't know where's a trusted place to throw a few dollars to help somebody out. Well, our Patreon account is going to do that through Gift What You Need. And then we're going to have amazing coaches that are part of the Gift What You Need coaching curriculum. And they're going to offer their services, and we will take care of them, and there'll be a 20% copay. So the gift recipient, the person, male or female, will receive 80% of their coaching paid for up to 3 hours of coaching. Now, we're very excited about that. That's coming up. Also, Gift What You Need has a program that we use occasionally during special shows, and this is a special show, where we will give, and I'm going to put this up. Oh, where is it here, Jeff? Come on. Here it is. Sometimes I don't know which button to press. So, folks, if you are here with us live in the last couple of minutes of this show right now with Olga Cullinan and myself, go online, the IamRadioTVNetwork.com, fill out the information, and you will get a special gift. That special gift is a $100 hotel savings certificate. You'd say, well, wait a minute. How could you do that? It's no smoke, no mirrors, no timeshare presentations, no jumping through any hoops. We can honestly do it. We are involved with a company. I love this. I'm in sales and marketing. I've been a sales and marketing guy for over 40 years. And I love to be able to get real, true, honest ways to help people. The hotel savings card, you can use it for rental cars. It won't pay for your whole hotel room. People are looking to get a little break, get in the car, and take a drive and get away. So if you've been nice enough to stay with us here until end of show, please go to this link, fill out the information. We need your email address, and we will be getting a $100 hotel savings certificate to you. Olenka, you got one coming as well. So there you go, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so very, very much for being with us here on the Let's Get Real show. And somebody said to me once, not too long ago, why did you change the name from Interactive Interviews? It was the I Am Radio TV. I said, because we're all about getting real these days. We need to get real. We need to get real. We need to talk about the stuff that needs to be talked about. And that's what we did today. Olenka, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
It has been wonderful. Stay with me. I got to get over to here. There we go. I'll get this right sooner or later. Anyway, we're going to end show on that note, folks, and thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be with you, and we'll see you again. This Thursday, I do not have a guest. I will be on live by myself. Next week, we have Coach A.M. Williams coming on with us next Thursday, and next Tuesday we have a special guest coming, confirming that right now. So every Tuesday and Thursday, normally at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Today I messed that up, so it was at 4. So thanks for being with us, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate it. On behalf of Olenka and myself, thank you so much. And make sure you reach out and talk to Olenka. You really should. Thank you. Bye-bye for now. Thank you for being here with us at the I Am Radio TV Network. Have you ever thought about sharing your message to the world? Or perhaps you'd like to talk with us about being a guest on one of our many upcoming shows. Either way, reach out and contact us at the I Am Radio TV Network at gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you. And now, back to the show. Get ready to go.